Today we have a practice test for the CompTIA SY0-701 Security Plus exam. This is for Section 2 in this video. We have the Section 1 already out, and I'm not sure by the time you're seeing this, we might already have 3, 4, 5 out on this. Just take a look at the channel, see what else is out there, because there's other study materials for the CompTIA Security Plus, but this is going over the Section 2.0. Threats, vulnerabilities, and mitigations. This covers 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, and 2.5. Let's get it started. First question, which of the following threat actors is typically backed by a government and engages in cyber espionage or cyber warfare? Hacktivist, nation state, insider threat, or shadow IT? I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to think of the answer, and then we will show it. Which of the following threat actors is typically backed by a government and engages in cyber espionage or cyber warfare? Correct answer is the nation state. Which term describes an attacker who lacks advanced technical skills and primarily uses pre-existing tools and scripts? Unskilled attacker, nation state, organized crime, or insider threat? An attacker who lacks advanced technical skills. Correct answer is an unskilled attacker. What type of threat actor is motivated by political or ideological beliefs and uses cyber attacks to promote their cause? Nation state, shadow IT, hacktivist, or unskilled attacker? Correct answer is a hacktivist. Which type of threat actor has legitimate access to an organization's systems but poses a security risk due to malicious intent or negligence? Is it a hacktivist, insider threat, nation state, or unskilled attacker? Which type of threat actor has legitimate access to an organization's systems but poses a security risk due to malicious intent or negligence? Correct answer is insider threat. Which type of threat actor is typically motivated by financial gain and operates in structured groups with significant resources? Hacktivist, organized crime, insider threat, or nation state? Correct answer is organized crime. What term describes IT systems or applications that are deployed within an organization without formal approval, often increasing security risks? Shadow IT, insider threat, nation state, or organized crime? IT systems or applications that are deployed within an organization without formal approval. Correct answer is shadow IT. Which of the following best differentiates an internal threat actor from an external one? External threat actors always operate with legal permissions. Internal threat actors only use social engineering attacks. Internal threat actors have authorized access to the organization's systems, or external threat actors cannot use malware in their attacks. Which best differentiates an internal threat actor from an external one? Correct answer is internal threat actors have authorized access to the organization's systems. How does resource availability impact the effectiveness of a threat actor? More resources allow for more sophisticated attacks and longer campaigns. Low resources result in higher success rates for cyber attacks. Threat actors with fewer resources always have government backing. Or resource availability does not affect attack capabilities. How does resource availability impact the effectiveness of a threat actor? Correct answer is more resources allow for more sophisticated attacks and longer campaigns. Which characteristic is often associated with highly sophisticated threat actors? They rely exclusively on social engineering attacks. They use advanced techniques and custom-developed tools. They target only small businesses with limited security measures. Or they never collaborate with other cybercriminal groups. Which characteristic is often associated with highly sophisticated threat actors? Correct answer is they use advanced techniques and custom-developed tools. Which term describes the act of stealing sensitive information and transmitting it outside an organization without authorization? Service disruption, ethical hacking, disruption chaos, or data exfiltration? The act of stealing sensitive information and transmitting it outside an organization without authorization. Correct answer is data exfiltration. Which motivation drives cybercriminals or state-sponsored actors to gather confidential business or government information for strategic advantage? Revenge, espionage, blackmail, or disruption or chaos? What motivation drives cybercriminals or state-sponsored actors to gather confidential business or government information for strategic advantage? Correct answer is espionage. A distributed denial-of-service attack designed to overload a network and make a service unavailable is an example of what type of motivation? Service disruption, financial gain, espionage, or blackmail? A distributed denial-of-service, or DDoS, attack designed to overload a network and make a service unavailable is an example of which type of motivation? Correct answer is service disruption. Which type of cyber attack motivation involves threatening to release sensitive information unless a ransom or demand is met? Ethical hacking, disruption or chaos, blackmail, or service disruption? Threatening to release sensitive information unless a ransom or demand is met. Correct answer is blackmail. Ransomware attacks, where attackers demand payment in exchange for restoring access to encrypted data, are primarily motivated by what? Financial gain, war, philosophical or political beliefs, or revenge? Ransomware attacks, where attackers demand payment in exchange for restoring access, are motivated by what? Correct answer is financial gain. Hacktivists often conduct cyber attacks to promote or oppose certain ideologies. What is their primary motivation? Financial gain, revenge, philosophical or political beliefs, or service disruption? What is their primary motivation? Correct answer is philosophical or political beliefs. Which of the following describes ethical hackers who conduct security assessment to identify vulnerabilities before malicious attackers exploit them? Data exfiltration, espionage, ethical hacking, or service disruption? Correct answer, they say it right in the question, ethical hacking. A disgruntled employee launches, it might not be as obvious on the actual exam, I'm just letting you know. A disgruntled employee launches an attack on their former employer's network to cause damage. What is the primary motivation? Financial gain, revenge, war, or ethical hacking? Correct answer is revenge. I feel like this is the common sense part of the exam. Some cybercriminals engage in attacks with no clear financial or ideological motive, simply aiming to create disorder. What is this motivation called? Disruption or chaos, espionage, blackmail, or ethical hacking? No clear financial or ideological motive, simply aiming to create disorder. Correct answer is disruption or chaos. Cyber attacks that target critical infrastructure, communication networks, or government systems during geopolitical conflicts are typically motivated by what? Financial gain, revenge, ethical hacking, or war? Correct answer is war. Which type of attack is commonly delivered via phishing emails to trick users into revealing sensitive information? Denial of service, email-based social engineering, brute force attack, or man-in-the-middle attack? Which type of attack is commonly delivered via phishing emails to trick users into revealing sensitive information? Correct answer is email-based social engineering. What is a common security risk associated with SMS-based phishing or smishing attacks? Exploiting software vulnerabilities and databases, tricking users into clicking malicious links or revealing credentials, excessive bandwidth usage from video calls, or using outdated cryptographic algorithms. What is a common security risk associated with SMS-based phishing or smishing attacks? Correct answer is tricking users into clicking malicious links or revealing credentials. Which messaging platform is often targeted by attackers using fake profiles or malicious links to compromise users? Instant messaging, Bluetooth connections, web conferencing software, or network routers? Which messaging platform is often targeted by attackers using fake profiles or malicious links to compromise users? Correct answer is instant messaging. Stenography is a technique commonly used in which type of cyber attack? Image-based attacks, man-in-the-middle attacks, denial-of-service attacks, or phishing attacks? Stenography is a technique commonly used in which type of cyber attack? Correct answer is image-based attacks. Which attack vector involves distinguishing malware within seemingly harmless documents such as PDFs or Word files? Social engineering, phishing emails, voice call spoofing, or file-based attacks? Disguising malware within seemingly harmless documents such as PDFs or Word files. Correct answer is file-based attacks. Caller ID spoofing is often used in which type of attack? Brute force attack, denial of service, voice call-based phishing or vishing, or SQL injection? Caller ID spoofing is often used in which type of attack? Correct answer is voice call-based phishing or vishing. What is a major security risk associated with using removable storage devices? They can spread malware or facilitate data exfiltration. They prevent unauthorized access to systems. They automatically encrypt all stored data, or they ensure complete network isolation. There's a major security risk associated with using removable storage devices. Correct answer is they can spread malware or facilitate data exfiltration. Which of the following describes a key security concern with agentless security solutions? They rely on external network scanning and may miss endpoint threats. They require constant software updates on endpoints. They cannot be deployed in virtualized environments, or they increase the number of software vulnerabilities on a system. Which of the following describes a key security concern with agentless security solutions? Correct answer is they rely on external network scanning and may miss endpoint threats. What is a primary security risk of using unsupported systems and applications? They require two-factor authentication for access. They automatically encrypt all stored data. They no longer receive security patches, making them vulnerable to exploits, or they prevent users from accessing web-based applications. A primary security risk of using unsupported systems and applications. Correct answer is they no longer receive security patches, making them vulnerable to exploits. Which type of attack commonly uses phishing emails to trick recipients into clicking malicious links or downloading malware? Denial of service, email-based phishing, brute force attack, or SQL injection? Which type of attack commonly uses phishing emails to trick recipients into clicking malicious links? Correct answer is email-based phishing. Which term describes a phishing attack that is conducted via text messages? Vishing, spoofing, whaling, or smishing? Correct answer is smishing. Attackers may use instant messaging platforms to distribute malware by doing which of the following? Sending short and malicious links to users, forcing password resets on all user accounts, disabling two-factor authentication for all users, or encrypting messages with end-to-end encryption. Attackers may use instant messaging platforms to distribute malware by doing which of the following? Correct answer is sending short and malicious links to users. What type of cyber attack involves hiding malicious code within an image file? SQL injection, denial of service, image-based stenography, or cross-site scripting? Hiding malicious code within an image file. Correct answer is image-based stenography. Which method is commonly used to deliver malware via seemingly harmless documents such as PDFs and Microsoft Office files? DNS poisoning, file-based attack, cross-site scripting, or man-in-the-middle attack? Feels very similar to the one we just had, file-based attack. A social engineering attack where an attacker uses caller ID spoofing to impersonate a trusted entity is known as what? Vishing, smishing, phishing, or whaling. Caller ID spoofing to impersonate a trusted entity. Correct answer is vishing. Why are removable storage devices often a security risk in organizations? They increase network bandwidth usage, they always require internet access to function, they can introduce malware or be used for data exfiltration, or they automatically encrypt all data stored on them. Why are removable devices often a security risk in organizations? Correct answer is they can introduce malware or be used for data exfiltration. What is a key security concern when using an agentless security solution? It requires extensive software installations on all user devices. It prevents systems from communicating over the network. It automatically blocks all incoming connections by default, or it relies on external scanning and may miss endpoint-specific threats. What is a key security concern when using an agentless security solution? Correct answer is it relies on external scanning and may miss endpoint-specific threats. What is a major security risk of using unsupported systems and applications? They can no longer receive security patches, making them vulnerable to exploits. They automatically enforce strict access control policies. They prevent all external network communications, or they enhance system performance by removing outdated features. What is a major security risk for using unsupported systems and applications? Correct answer is they no longer receive security patches, making them vulnerable to exploits. I feel like we're seeing a few of these again. Which of the following is a common security risk associated with unsecured wireless networks? They prevent network devices from communicating with each other. They block all inbound and outbound connections. They allow unauthorized users to intercept and access network traffic, or they enforce mandatory encryption on all data transmissions. A common security risk associated with unsecured wireless networks. Correct answer is they allow unauthorized users to intercept and access network traffic. What is a primary security risk associated with unsecure wired networks? Wireless signals can be easily intercepted by unauthorized users. All network traffic is automatically encrypted and cannot be accessed. Wired networks are inherently immune to security risks, or attackers can physically connect to the network and intercept traffic. A primary security risk associated with unsecured wired networks. Correct answer is attackers can physically connect to the network and intercept traffic. Which type of attack exploits unsecure Bluetooth connections to eavesdrop or manipulate communications? Blue snarfing, phishing, DNS poisoning, or SQL injection? Correct answer is blue snarfing. I think there were just some extra questions in there. Why are open service ports considered a security risk? They automatically encrypt all incoming and outgoing data. They prevent unauthorized users from connecting to the network. They can be exploited by attackers to gain unauthorized access to a system, or they disable unnecessary services on network devices. Why are open service ports considered a security risk? Correct answer is they can be exploited by attackers to gain unauthorized access to a system. Why should default credentials be changed immediately after installing a new device or system? Default usernames and passwords are widely known and be exploited by attackers. They increase network performance by optimizing authentication processes. They prevent brute force attacks by enforcing strong password policies, or they provide additional security layers against unauthorized access. Why should default credentials be changed immediately after installing a new device or system? Correct answer is default usernames and passwords are widely known and can be exploited by attackers. Which of the following is a primary risk associated with third-party managed service providers? They eliminate the need for internal IT security measures. They always provide stronger security than in-house teams. They can introduce security vulnerabilities through weak security controls, or they block all external network traffic threats automatically. Primary risk associated with third-party managed service providers. Correct answer is they can introduce security vulnerabilities through weak security controls. Which of the following best describes a security risk posed by vendors in the supply chain? Vendors always use the most secure authentication methods. Vendors eliminate the need for endpoint security solutions. Vendors always encrypt data before transmitting to clients, or vendors may have weak security controls that expose organizations to attacks. Best describes a security risk posed by vendors in the supply chain. Correct answer is vendors may have weak security controls that expose organizations to attacks. Why is supply chain security critical in cybersecurity risk management? Suppliers can introduce vulnerabilities that affect an organization's security posture. Supply chain partners are never targeted by cyber criminals. Suppliers always ensure that all third-party software is secure, or supply chains have no impact on security risks. Why is supply chain security critical in cybersecurity risk management? Correct answer is suppliers can introduce vulnerabilities that affect an organization's security posture. Which type of social engineering attack involves sending fraudulent emails that appear to come from a trusted source to trick users into revealing sensitive information? Vishing, smishing, phishing, or impersonation? Involves sending fraudulent emails that appear to come from a trusted source. Correct answer is phishing. I feel like it's also impersonation, but what type of social engineering attack involves using voice calls to manipulate individuals into divulging confidential information? Vishing, phishing, smishing, or watering hole attack? Voice calls to manipulate individuals into divulging confidential information. Correct answer is vishing. A cybercriminal sends fake text message claiming to be from a bank, urging the recipient to verify their account details. What type of attack is this? Vishing, smishing, typo squatting, or business email compromise? Fake text message claiming to be from a bank. Correct answer is smishing. Which of the following describes the intentional spread of false information to manipulate public perception? Pretexting, watering hole attack, misinformation or disinformation, or brand impersonation? Intentional spread of false information to manipulate public perception is misinformation or disinformation. Which attack involves an individual pretending to be someone else to gain unauthorized access to systems or information? Impersonation, typo squatting, smishing, or watering hole attack? Pretending to be someone else to gain unauthorized access to systems or information. Correct answer is impersonation. A CEO receives an email that appears to be from their CFO, instructing them to transfer money to an unfamiliar account. What type of attack is this? Phishing, watering hole attack, business email compromise, or typo squatting? An email that appears to be from their CFO, instructing them to transfer money to an unfamiliar account. Correct answer is business email compromise. Which social engineering technique involves an attacker creating a fabricated scenario to convince a victim to reveal information? Vishing, pretexting, brand impersonation, or typo squatting? Fabricated scenario to convince a victim to reveal information. Correct answer is pretexting. An attacker compromises a website frequently visited by a target audience to spread malware. What type of attack is this? Watering hole attack, typo squatting, vishing, or smishing? Compromises a website frequently visited by a target audience to spread malware. Correct answer is watering hole attack. Cybercriminals create a fake website that looks identical to a well-known brand to steal user credentials. What type of attack is this? Smishing, pretexting, brand impersonation, or misinformation? A fake website that looks identical to a well-known brand. Correct answer is brand impersonation. An attacker registers a domain name similar to a legitimate website, hoping users will mistype the URL and enter sensitive information. What is this attack called? Phishing, watering hole attack, business email compromise, or typo squatting? Correct answer is typo squatting. What type of security vulnerability occurs when an application improperly handles user input, leading to unintended actions or code execution? Application vulnerability, time of check or TOC attack, malicious update, or race condition? Correct answer is application vulnerability. Which attack technique involves injecting malicious code into a process's memory to execute unauthorized commands? Time of use or TOU attack, cross-site scripting, memory injection, or SQL injection? Malicious code into a process's memory to execute unauthorized commands. Correct answer is memory injection. A program fails to properly allocate memory, allowing an attacker to overwrite adjacent memory locations. What type of attack is this? Race condition, time of use attack, malicious update, or buffer overflow? Fails to properly allocate memory, allowing an attacker to overwrite adjacent memory locations. That is buffer overflow. Which type of attack occurs when multiple processes attempt to execute a task simultaneously, causing unpredictable behavior? Race condition, SQL injection, memory injection, or cross-site scripting? Multiple processes attempt to execute a task simultaneously. Correct answer is race condition. Which attack exploits the time gap between checking a resource's state and using it, allowing an attacker to modify it? Buffer overflow, structured query language injection, time of check attack, or cross-site scripting? Exploits the time gap between checking a resource's state and using it. Correct answer is time of check attack. An attacker modifies a file between its initial verification and execution, leading to unauthorized actions. What type of attack is this? Time of use attack, memory injection, race condition, or SQL injection? Modifies a file between its initial verification and execution. Correct answer is time of use attack. A user installs a software update that contains hidden malware. What type of attack is this? Malicious update, time of check attack, memory injection, or buffer overflow? Installs a software update that contains hidden malware. Correct answer is malicious update. Which type of vulnerability primarily targets operating system processes and security mechanisms? Web-based attack, memory injection attack, SQL injection, or operating system-based attack? What primarily targets operating system processes and security mechanisms? That would be an operating system-based attack. What type of security vulnerability commonly exploits weaknesses in web applications to perform unauthorized actions? Time of use attack, malicious update, web-based attack, or buffer overflow? Weaknesses in web applications to perform unauthorized actions is a web-based attack. Which attack technique involves injecting malicious SQL statements into a database query to manipulate or extract data? SQL injection, race condition, cross-site scripting, or memory injection? Correct answer is SQL injection. Which web security vulnerability allows attackers to inject scripts into web pages viewed by other users? Time of check attack, malicious update, buffer overflow, or cross-site scripting. Allows attackers to inject scripts into web pages viewed by other users. Correct answer is cross-site scripting. Which of the following is a security risk associated with outdated firmware? It no longer receives security updates, making it vulnerable to exploits. It prevents unauthorized access by default. It automatically encrypts all network traffic, or it enhances system performance and security over time. Security risk associated with outdated firmware. Correct answer is it no longer receives security updates, making it vulnerable to exploits. What is a major security concern with end-of-life hardware? It automatically integrates with the latest security protocols. It enforces multi-factor authentication by default. It no longer receives security patches, increasing vulnerability to attacks, or it ensures that all network traffic is encrypted. Major security concern with end-of-life hardware. Correct answer is it no longer receives security patches, increasing vulnerability to attacks. Legacy systems often pose a security risk because they automatically patch vulnerabilities without user intervention, may not support modern security updates and encryption standards, are immune to modern cyber threats, or use the latest cloud security technologies. Legacy systems often pose a security risk because they may not support modern security updates and encryption standards. What is the primary security risk of a virtual machine escape attack? An attacker gains access to the host system from within a virtual machine. A virtual machine is deleted without proper authorization. A virtual machine is isolated from the network for security reasons, or multiple virtual machines compete for hardware resources. The primary security risk of a virtual machine escape attack. Correct answer is an attacker gains access to the host system from within a virtual machine. Why is resource reuse a security concern in virtualization? It prevents the execution of malicious processes. It automatically encrypts all stored data. Residual data from previous virtual machines can be accessed by new instances, or it ensures that all system resources are properly allocated. Why is resource reuse a security concern in virtualization? Correct answer is residual data from previous virtual machines can be accessed by new instances. Which security concern is unique to avoid? Not sure why I added that extra word. Which security concern is unique to cloud environments? Cloud storage eliminates the need for encryption. Cloud services automatically block all unauthorized access. Local security policies do not apply to cloud environments, or shared infrastructure can lead to data leakage between tenants. Which is unique to cloud environments? Correct answer is shared infrastructure can lead to data leakage between tenants. What is a primary risk when relying on third-party service providers? A security breach in the provider system can impact client data. The provider enforces multi-factor authentication on all client accounts. The provider guarantees protection against all cyber threats, or all data stored within the provider is automatically encrypted. Primary risk for relying on third-party service providers. Correct answer is a security breach in the provider system can impact client data. What is a common security risk associated with hardware providers in the supply chain? Hardware providers always implement the latest security updates. Hardware providers enforce end-to-end encryption by default. Hardware components may be compromised before deployment, or hardware providers eliminate the need for firmware updates. Common security risk associated with hardware providers in the supply chain. Correct answer is hardware components may be compromised before deployment. There was actually an instance in a company that I work for. I know I'm not supposed to be given extra information, but in a company that I worked for, there were chipsets that they found on circuit boards from overseas, from China, and it was a massive security risk, and they changed all of their supply chain rules based on that. It was absolutely wild. I'm not going to say the company, but just based on that, it was a ridiculous, a huge situation. But it absolutely does happen. Why is software supply chain security critical? Compromised software updates can introduce malware into systems. Software providers always enforce strict security measures. Software vulnerabilities do not impact modern security models, or all software is pre-validated against security threats before installation. Why is software supply chain security critical? Correct answer is compromised software updates can introduce malware into systems. Which of the following best describes a cryptographic security risk? Encryption prevents unauthorized access to data. Cryptographic keys cannot be stolen or misused. Weak encryption algorithms can be cracked by attackers, or strong encryption eliminates the need for authentication measures. Which best describes a cryptographic security risk? Correct answer is weak encryption algorithms can be cracked by attackers. Which security risk arises when a system, application, or network is not configured properly, potentially exposing vulnerabilities? Misconfiguration, sideloading, zero-day attack, or jailbreaking? Correct answer is misconfiguration. What is a security risk of sideloading applications on a mobile device? The device is automatically encrypted upon installation. Sideloading ensures that only verified apps are installed. It prevents unauthorized applications from being installed, or the app may bypass security controls and introduce malware. What is a security risk of sideloading applications on a mobile device? Correct answer is the app may bypass security controls and introduce malware. Android users. I freaked you out a little bit right there, didn't I? I know some of you are doing it. Nah, you guys aren't doing it. You guys know better. Which term describes the process of removing manufacturer restrictions on a mobile device, potentially exposing it to security risks? Sideloading, zero-day attack, jailbreaking, or misconfiguration? Describes the process of removing manufacturer restrictions on a mobile device. Correct answer is jailbreaking. What type of attack exploits a previously unknown software vulnerability before a fix is available? Zero-day attack, sideloading, jailbreaking, or misconfiguration? Exploits a previously unknown software vulnerability before a fix is available. Correct answer is zero-day attack. What type of malware encrypts a victim's files and demands payments to restore access? Trojan, keylogger, logic bomb, or ransomware? What encrypts a victim's files and demands payments to restore access? Correct answer is ransomware. Which type of malware disguises itself as a legitimate program but secretly executes malicious activities? Trojan, virus, bloatware, or rootkit? Disguises itself as a legitimate program but secretly executes malicious activities. Correct answer is a Trojan. Which type of malware is self-replicating and spreads without human intervention? A logic bomb, spyware, a worm, or ransomware? This reminds me of the movie Swordfish. Correct answer is a worm. I don't know why, randomly it reminds me of that. Which type of malware is designed to secretly monitor a user's activity and collect personal information? Virus, Trojan, bloatware, or spyware? Secretly monitor a user's activity and collect personal information. Correct answer is spyware. What is a common characteristic of bloatware? It spreads by exploiting vulnerabilities in a network. It secretly logs keystrokes to steal credentials. It consists of unnecessary pre-installed software that slows down a device, or it modifies system files to gain persistent access. A common characteristic of bloatware. Correct answer is it consists of unnecessary pre-installed software that slows down a device. Which type of malware attaches itself to a legitimate file and requires user execution to spread? Virus, worm, rootkit, or spyware? Attaches itself to a legitimate file and requires user execution to spread. Correct answer is a virus. What type of malware records user keystrokes to steal sensitive information? Logic bomb, Trojan, keylogger, or worm? Records user keystrokes. Correct answer is a keylogger. What type of malware is designed to execute a malicious function when specific condition is met? Keylogger, logic bomb, virus, or ransomware? Execute a malicious function when a specific condition is met. Correct answer is a logic bomb. What type of malware is designed to hide its presence by modifying operating system components? Is it a rootkit, Trojan, bloatware, or logic bomb? Hide its presence by modifying operating system components. Correct answer is a rootkit. Which type of attack systematically attempts multiple password combinations to gain unauthorized access? Brute force, on-path attack, amplified attack, or credential replay attack? Multiple password combinations to gain unauthorized access. Correct answer is a brute force attack. Which attack involves copying data from an RFID tag without authorization? DNS poisoning, on-path attack, RFID cloning, or wireless jamming? Involves copying data from an RFID tag without authorization. Correct answer is RFID cloning. Which physical security risk is associated with extreme heat, cold, or humidity affecting IT infrastructure? Brute force attack, DDoS attack, credential replay attack, or environmental attack? Correct answer is an environmental attack. Which type of network attack overwhelms a target system with excessive traffic to cause service disruption? Credential replay, distributed denial of service or DDoS, RFID cloning, or brute force? Overwhelms a target system with excessive traffic to cause service disruption. Correct answer is distributed denial of service. Which attack amplifies the amount of traffic sent to a target by leveraging misconfigured third-party servers? Amplified attack, on-path attack, DNS poisoning, or wireless hijacking? Amplifies the amount of traffic sent to a target by leveraging misconfigured third-party servers. Correct answer is amplified attack. A cybercriminal sends a request to multiple open servers, which then respond by sending large amounts of traffic to the victim. What type of attack is this? Brute force attack, RFID cloning, reflected attack, or credential replay attack? Request to multiple open servers, which then respond by sending large amounts of traffic to the victim. Correct answer is a reflected attack. Which type of attack manipulates DNS records to redirect users to malicious websites? DNS attack, wireless hijacking, amplified attack, or brute force attack? Correct answer is a DNS attack. Surprising, right? Which network attack targets weaknesses in wireless security protocols to gain unauthorized access? Credential replay attack, brute force attack, RFID cloning, or wireless attack? Targets weaknesses in wireless security protocols to gain unauthorized access. Correct answer is a wireless attack. Which type of attack involves intercepting communication between two parties to steal or modify data? Brute force attack, DNS poisoning attack, on-path attack, or amplified attack? Correct answer is an on-path attack. Which attack involves capturing and reusing authentication data to gain unauthorized access to a system? Credential replay attack, wireless hijacking, DNS poisoning attack, or a DDoS attack? Capturing and reusing authentication data to gain unauthorized access to a system. Correct answer is a credential replay attack. Which type of network attack involves injecting harmful code into a system to compromise security? Brute force attack, malicious code attack, RFID cloning, or a reflected attack? Injecting harmful code into a system to compromise security. Correct answer is a malicious code attack. Which type of application attack involves inserting malicious code into an application's input fields to manipulate its execution? privilege escalation, buffer overflow, injection attack, or directory traversal. Involves inserting malicious code into an application's input fields to manipulate its execution. Correct answer is an injection attack. What type of attack occurs when an application writes more data to a memory buffer than it was designed to hold, potentially allowing arbitrary code execution? Privilege escalation, replay attack, directory traversal, or buffer overflow. More data to a memory buffer than it was designed to hold. Correct answer is a buffer overflow. Which attack captures and retransmits valid authentication data to gain unauthorized access to a system? Replay attack, privilege escalation, buffer overflow, or injection attack? Captures and retransmits valid authentication data to gain unauthorized access to a system is a replay attack. Which type of attack occurs when an attacker gains unauthorized access to higher level privileges in a system or application? Directory traversal, replay attack, privilege escalation, or injection attack? Unauthorized access to higher level privileges in a system or application. Correct answer is privilege escalation. Which application attack tricks a system into performing an action by forging a request from a trusted user? Forgery attack, replay attack, buffer overflow, or privilege escalation? Correct answer is a forgery attack. What type of attack exploits improper input validation to gain unauthorized access to restricted directories on a web server? Injection attack, buffer overflow, directory traversal, or a replay attack? Exploits improper input validation to gain unauthorized access. Correct answer is directory traversal. Which cryptographic attack forces a system to use weaker encryption protocol, making it easier to compromise? Collision attack, replay attack, downgrade attack, or forgery attack? Weaker encryption protocol making it easier to compromise. Correct answer is a downgrade attack. Which cryptographic attack occurs when two different inputs produce the same hash value, compromising the integrity of the system? Downgrade attack, buffer overflow, directory traversal, or collision attack? Two different inputs producing the same hash value, compromising the integrity of the system. Correct answer is a collision attack. Which cryptographic attack takes advantage of the probability that two different inputs will produce the same hash value? Birthday attack, brute force attack, spraying attack, or collision attack? Two different inputs will produce the same hash value. Correct answer is a birthday attack. Which password attack attempts to gain access by testing a few commonly used passwords across many accounts? Brute force attack, spraying attack, dictionary attack, or credential stuffing? To gain access by testing few commonly used passwords across many accounts. Correct answer is a spray attack. Spray and pray. Which password attack systematically tries all possible combinations until the correct one is found? Brute force attack, spraying attack, birthday attack, or rainbow table attack? Tries all possible combinations until the correct one is found. Correct answer is a brute force attack. Which indicator of the password attack involves multiple failed login attempts resulting in the automatic disabling of an account? Impossible travel, out-of-cycle logging, account lockout, or blocked content? Multiple failed login attempts resulting in automatic disabling of an account is account lockout. Which indicator suggests that an account is being accessed from multiple locations at the same time? Blocked content, resource inaccessibility, published documented indicators, or concurrent session usage? Concurrent session. Wow, I really cannot say that word. Session. Correct answer is a concurrent session usage. What security indicator prevents users from accessing certain web pages or online services due to security policies? Resource inaccessibility, out-of-cycle logging, blocked content, or impossible travel? certain web pages or online services due to security policies. Correct answer is blocked content. Which security alert indicates that a login attempt was made from an unusually distant location in a short period of time? Impossible travel, concurrent session usage, account lockout, or resource consumption. Correct answer is impossible travel. Which of the following indicates an attack that excessively uses CPU, memory, or bandwidth to degrade system performance? Blocked content, impossible travel, published documented indicators, or resource consumption. Correct answer is resource consumption. Which security concern involves a user or system being unable to access files, networks, or applications due to an attack? Concurrent session usage, published documented indicators, resource inaccessibility, or resource consumption. Involves a user or system being unable to access files, networks, or applications. Correct answer is resource inaccessibility. Which of the following is a sign of potential malicious activity when logs appear outside their normal time frame? Out-of-cycle logging, impossible travel, blocked content, or resource inaccessibility. Potential malicious activity when logs appear outside their normal time frame. Correct answer is out-of-cycle logging. What is a common source for security analysts to find known indicators of compromise, or IOCs? Blocked content, published or documented indicators, impossible travel, or resource consumption. Common source for security analysts to find known indicators of compromise. Correct answer is published or documented indicators. Which security issue occurs when logs that should exist for forensic analysis are missing? Missing logs, account lockout, blocked content, or out-of-cycle logging. Do we even need? Some of these are just so obvious. Missing logs. I feel like you don't need to really think about that one if the answer is in the question. Which security practice? Those are called gimmies. Which security practice involves dividing a network into smaller isolated sections to reduce attack surfaces? Encryption, patching, segmentation, or application allow list. Dividing a network into smaller isolated sections to reduce attack surfaces. Correct answer is segmentation. Which security mechanism defines rules that determine which users or devices can access specific resources? Access control list, encryption, isolation, or segmentation. Rules that determine which users or devices can access specific resources. Correct answer is access control list. Which security feature specifies what actions users can perform on a system or file? Segmentation, application allow list, encryption, or permissions. What actions users can perform on a system or file? Correct answer is permissions. Which security measure restricts software execution to a predefined list of approved applications? Segmentation, application allow list, access control list, or permissions. Which security measure restricts software execution to a predefined list of approved applications? Correct answer is an application allow list. Which security concept involves running applications or systems in a contained environment to prevent threats from spreading? Access control list, patching, segmentation, or isolation? Correct answer is isolation. What security practice involves applying updates to software and systems to fix vulnerabilities? Encryption, segmentation, application allow list, or patching? Applying updates to software and systems to fix vulnerabilities. Correct answer is patching. What security technique ensures that data is encoded to only authorized parties can access it? Access control list, encryption, isolation, or patching? Only authorized parties can access it. Correct answer is encryption. What security practice involves continuously observing network traffic and system activity to detect threats? Monitoring, hardening techniques, decommissioning, or configuration enforcement? Continuously observing network traffic and system activity to detect threats. Correct answer is monitoring. Which principle ensures that users and applications only have the minimum level of access required to perform their tasks? Decommissioning, encryption, hardening techniques, or least privilege? The minimum level of access required to perform their tasks. Correct answer is least privilege. Which security control ensures that system configurations comply with the established security policies and standards? Configuration enforcement, monitoring, least privilege, or hardening techniques? Comply with established security policies and standards. Correct answer is configuration enforcement. What is the process of securely removing outdated systems and hardware to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data? Monitoring, configuration enforcement, decommissioning, or hardening techniques? Removing outdated systems and hardware to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data. That would be decommissioning. Which security practice involves strengthening a system by disabling unnecessary services, removing default accounts, and applying security updates? Monitoring, hardening techniques, least privilege, or decommissioning? Disabling unnecessary services, removing default accounts, and applying security updates. Correct answer is hardening techniques. Which security technique ensures that data is encoded so that only authorized users can access and read it? Encryption, configuration enforcement, hardening techniques, or least privilege? Correct answer is encryption. What is the primary purpose of installing endpoint protection on a device? To configure firewall settings for outbound connections, to disable unnecessary ports and protocols, to detect and prevent malware, unauthorized access, and other security threats, or to enforce network segmentation? The primary purpose of installing endpoint protection on a device. Correct answer is to detect and prevent malware, unauthorized access, and other security threats. Which security solution is designed to monitor and filter incoming and outgoing traffic on an individual computer? Endpoint protection, host-based intrusion prevention system, or HIPS, network firewall, or host-based firewall? Which security solution is designed to monitor and filter incoming and outgoing traffic? Correct answer is the host-based firewall. Which security control actively monitors and prevents malicious activities on an endpoint? Host-based intrusion prevention system, or HIPS, network firewall, endpoint protection, or default password enforcement? Actively monitors and prevents malicious activities on an endpoint. Correct answer is host-based intrusion prevention system. Why is it important to disable unnecessary ports and protocols on a system? To improve network bandwidth for high-priority services, to allow unrestricted access to external connections, to reduce the attack surface by limiting potential entry points for attackers, or to enhance encryption methods used in network communication. Why is it important to disable unnecessary ports and protocols on a system? Correct answer is to reduce the attack surface by limiting potential entry points for attackers. Why should default passwords on devices and applications be changed immediately after installation? Default credentials are widely known and can be exploited by attackers. Default passwords increase system performance. Changing default passwords disables administrator access, or default passwords enforce stronger authentication measures. Correct answer is default credentials are widely known and could be exploited by attackers. What is the security benefit of removing unnecessary software from a system? It enhances encryption strength on the system. It prevents unauthorized users from changing system configurations. It allows software to execute with higher privileges, or it reduces the attack surface by eliminating potential vulnerabilities. The security benefit to removing unnecessary software from a system. Correct answer is it reduces the attack surface by eliminating potential vulnerabilities. And that is the end of this part. This is part 2 of the Security Plus SY0-701, I believe is the number for it. Hope this was helpful. I know there was actually a lot of kind of easy ones on here, but Some parts are easy, some parts are challenging. Sometimes in the test, they give you gimmies. Good luck on your exam. We're going to keep posting all of these different exam prep resources on the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you as always in the next one.